Family. I hear this term every day, but I wonder what it means. What is family? Why do we appreciate family? Where did family come from? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have a family who support you, who encourage you, who help you grow stronger? When I was about 5 years old, my grandparents came to visit from China. And this is one afternoon when all three of us were alone in the house. It was a pleasant day. The sun was shining. The plants were thriving. Children were laughing. And I was grumpy. I was grumpy because my parents had a lot of work. And as my grandmother was watering her plants on the balcony, I was busily doing checkers with my grandfather. There were many, many plants on the balcony, and all of them were blooming so well. Red, yellow, orange, blue, purple, you name it. But there's this one flower that caught my attention. It was blooming just like any other flowers. It was standing proudly straight and tall, just like any other flowers. But its petals, the small, delicate petals, were a very special shade of pink, the color of someone's face when you see your crush. Mesmerized by that shade of pink, the flower that was standing among all others, I abandoned checkers, pressed myself against a glass panel, and tried to get a better view. But suddenly, a shadow covered my vision. What was that? The world ended? I looked back to my grandfather for help, but he was standing there, smiling and nodding at me. Extremely frustrated, I used my superpowers and I slammed that door shut, locking it as I did so. But the next thing I know, a fist came toward my face, and I just realized that the shadow was my grandmother, and she was now knocking on the door asking to be let in. Uh-oh. Did I just lock my dear, dear grandmother on the balcony? Yes, I did, and I can smell trouble coming over. As I was hesitating whether to open the door or not, my grandfather leaped into the picture and said, "You did it! You locked her outside!" Huh? Don't you get it? You pranked your grandmother. You locked her on the balcony. High five! I laughed and then returned the high five, and a slap rained across the house. That was a high five of joy and excitement. The high five left a mark on my fingers and a mark on my heart. As we were talking and joking and chatting, there's still someone on the balcony, and I wish I could forget what happened afterwards. As a 5-year-old, I didn't know what the concept of family was. What I think is, family are people who are around you always, encouraging you to go on, isn't it? A couple of days after my grandparents went back to China, my mom didn't come back from work. My other grandmother told me that she went back to China to take care of some things. I believed it, because family are people who are always by your side. So I waited. A week later, my mom came back. She was wearing a gorgeous black gown, but her face was deathly pale. I asked her what's wrong, and I asked when Grandpa will be coming back to visit again. She told me that Grandpa went to a place very, very far away, and he's not coming back for a long time. I believed it, because family are people who are always supporting you. I waited for 5 years. Grandfather never came back. When I was about 10 years old, starting to understand some things, I learned that he passed away from cancer. I don't know what to say. I couldn't believe that visit 5 years ago was the last time that I get to see my grandfather. And I didn't know what to do. For a long time, I locked myself in that little prison of depression, doing nothing but being depressed and pondering over one question. What is family? For some occasions, my mom came and gave me a high five of reassurance and comfort. The high five left a mark on my fingers and a mark on my heart. From that, I learned that family are people who are always supporting you, but it is strong, but it is also so fragile. It could be gone the next second. I think that we should all appreciate the wonderful but short time with our families. When we went back to China, we visited my grandfather. I thought I would be heartbroken. I thought I would break down. But after seeing that warm smile on the gravestone, something opened up inside of me, a window. I believe at that moment that my grandfather is happy up there, that he's watching over me. Some say that when relatives die, they become stars and they watch over you. And that is when I became especially paying attention to the night sky. At the end of the visit, I released myself out of that little prison of depression, and I gave the gravestone a high five of release. The high five left a mark on my fingers and on my heart. After that visit, I became more cheerful, more confident, and more ready to face the world. As some amazing accomplishments, I think of my grandfather, and I believe that he will be proud of me, that he will be watching over me. Family are people who are always by your side encouraging you, but they're also so fragile. The next second, they might be gone in another way. And somewhere or another, they're still with you. Family are always with you, whether it is a high five of joy, of reassurance, or of release. They will never leave your side. It is the power and strength that they give you. A month ago, my teacher, Mr. George, asked me, if you could travel to a time in the past, where will you go? Thousands of images ran in my mind, but it all settled to that one bright sunny afternoon, that pot of bright pink flower, that warm and encouraging smile, and a powerful high five of joy.